Hi, Islamic Dad here. I'm going to do a video that's a little bit different than the ones I've done previously. This is going to be a check-in. I broke up with my ex-girlfriend about 3 months ago, who was, a covert narcissist. And the purpose of me making these videos is not just to be, informational, but also a way for me to process what happened within the context of narcissism. So I thought a check-in would not only be helpful for me, but also, bring to light, real life experiences that I had that may, resonate with, some of my viewers. So, 3 month check-in. So, I've done videos on, healing, coming out of the fog, kind of, just how there's multiple layers of coming out of a relationship with a narcissist that you don't have when you come out of a relationship with a healthy person that just happens to not work out. So I feel like I've done a great job of rebuilding or I should say building a new life for me. I've got my music, my writing, my DJing, running. I've got my all my piles and piles of books to read. Had great conversations, going out to concerts, meeting new people, making new friends. And so that part's been good and hasn't been an issue. But let's be honest. I mean, when there are quiet moments, I will ruminate, and it's confusing for me because there will be moments where I will really miss my ex-girlfriend and the relationship, but then part of me will catch myself and remind me that the last year of my relationship was garbage. I mean, it was just really bad. I mean, it was not fun. It was not fulfilling. I've described it as, typically I would say a healthy relationship, you have two people, they're growing as individuals, but they're also growing together as a couple. That's a healthy relationship. And the opposite of that was where, not only do you not have that growth together, but you might have one of the two people decaying. They're not growing. They're not changing. They're not finding new hobbies, a new friend circle, new things that like bring them joy. They're just simply decaying like a rotting corpse. And that's what the last year of my relationship with the covert narcissist was like. I mean, she had distanced herself so much through that whole, pseudo discard phase, that it was like I was just dragging this rotting corpse around for like the last year, and like all the things that we had built together as a couple to do that we both enjoyed, like going dancing, going to the clubs, going to the bar with friends, going to restaurants, going to the museum, going hiking, camping. We were super active, and as time went on, all those things just died. And like I said, like with the whole like self-care excuse, so often we'd make plans like months in advance, and the day before or an hour before, she would say, "Oh, I had a tough day at work. Can't go. Self-care. I'm choosing self-care. Need to take care of myself." So those plans we made 3 months ago that involve multiple people, I'm just backing out because I had kind of a long day, just a little bit tired, and just stuff like that continued. Like an example that I gave someone, which I thought was you know, hilarious, but at the same time, it's very extremely sad because it was true, was something where plans were canceled, and the self-care reason was that she had a lot of laundry to fold. And I heard something like, oh, it's self-care. I've got a lot of laundry to fold, and it's important to me to have a very orderly environment. I need to have an orderly household because that impacts my mental health, and it's emotionally taxing for me to be in an environment where there's like a lot of like clothes that need to be folded and towels. So I'm gonna cancel. I'm not gonna be able to do plans tonight. I'm gonna stay home and I'm gonna fold towels. I wish I wish I was lying. I wish I was exaggerating. So anyways, that and so I'm like, wait a minute, that is what I miss. Why is my heart, why is that part of my mind doing that? That was horrible. I don't understand it for myself, but like when I think of the relationship, I immediately think back to like the love bombing, honeymoon phase, period. Like that's where my mind and my heart goes. And it's hard. I have to like drag myself back to like these, subsequent 3 years where it's like, okay, here's where things went bad. It was like this slow motion car crash. And so just anyways, it's been more difficult than I thought it would be. And I'm just honestly surprised and a little bit confused. But then I think, oh, wait a minute, trauma bonding. And that's the thing. Like I heard a great description where they said, when you miss your, let's be blunt, when you miss your abuser from the relationship with the narcissist, that is not love you're feeling. That is addiction. You're jonesing because you're an addict. The months, years of trauma bonding have wired your brain to where you're addicted to that horrible, horrible, disgusting, vile person. And it sucks because it's like, yeah, I'm there. They were horrible. They had no empathy. It was just years of manipulation and gaslighting, and I miss her. And it stinks. Like I'm just, I'm trying to get through things. I mean, thankfully I've, no contact. I mean, not that was really something that I had to consciously do. There was the way things ended. It was for my own safety. So that, I just want to share like that, the kind of the check-in. It's like, I'm doing better, but let's be honest. It's going to take a while. The other part of the check-in that I wanted to kind of touch on, and I don't know to what extent I touched on this with like the flying monkeys video I made, but the reaction that people have had, and within like mutual friends and our broader social circle, has been very eye-opening. I had, after the breakup, she immediately went into full smear campaign. I mean, I was like, I was in a state of shock with what had happened, and I'm trying to like, come back to planet Earth. I'm like, okay, did that really just happen? And so I'm in that state, and she's already just, she's got the megaphone and she's just going full smear campaign on me. And so it was shocking within like 24, 48 hours, getting messages on social media from strangers, from people I don't know, calling me, the most horrible things and accusing me of the most vile things. And it's like, okay, the narcissist is the narcissist. The narcissist does a smear campaign. So let's, okay, we all agree on that, but we're changing the focus to those third parties. And so you have to think, okay, like there are these people out there who heard her lies, her stories, and just bought them wholesale, just completely bought into them and had no interest in either finding out what really happened or finding out what my, recollection version of the events was. They didn't care. And the thing is, like, okay, that was a stranger. Yeah. I had a friend, a coworker, someone who I'd had drinks with at the clubs, who I'd lunch with at work, went on walks with, discussing, books, novels, stuff like that. And they did the same thing with just, they heard her version and the end. They had no interest in finding out like what had happened or finding out like my story. And so that was incredibly disappointing. And then I had a couple of people that said, mutual friends that said, that is between you and her. I don't want to know. And the thing is, like I said, is like the way things ended. I'm not going to go into details on this video. It involved the police. It is involving the police. It involved the courts. It is involving the courts. And so let me just try to set the stage. Like that is what happened. And yet people are like, I don't want to know. That's between you and her. And I mean, for me, it was just shocking. Like I don't get that. Like if I had a friend who went through a situation like that, I would want to know exactly what the hell happened. I mean, for their safety, for the other person's safety, for my safety, I would want to know. And so that was bewildering. And then to have people, one of the hardest situations I had was where I had two people come to me, when they found out what happened and say, look, oh my gosh, we're so sorry that happened. We are here for you. We support you. You can talk to us. Obviously, everyone knew she was a bit off in the head. We'd kind of, got the impression based upon things that she had done and said in the past that she was just kind of, not right. And so this doesn't surprise us that much. But at the same time, this should never have happened to you. You're a good person. We're here for you. If you want to talk, please feel free to talk to us. If you need anything, let us know. And I was like, great. And so like I really talked with them and kind of they really helped me process things really early when things happened. And then like a couple 2-3 days later, that all ended. And I mean, they were still in contact with my ex, but they just kind of stopped being there like that, and basically went to me and said, look, we don't want to talk about the situation. We don't want to talk about her. We're not talking to her any longer, and we're not talking to you any longer. And the end. And I was very much in shock. I mean, again, like this is like two people where I was like, okay, here's the police case, here's the police report, here are the photos that were entered into exhibit, and here's the TPO. They saw all of that and yet still felt they could just step back like they were Sweden and be like, no, we're neutral. We're neutral. We're not going to be involved in this in any capacity. And again, it's like just really, I mean, I would say disappointing, but honestly, it's disgusting. I don't know how those people go to sleep at night. I don't know how they look themselves in the mirror. I don't. It's very strange because I mean, it would be one thing if it was like hearsay and stuff, but it's like, no, here's the evidence, you know. But again, like I don't know what drives people, but that said, I have had friends who have stuck with me all the way through. They have been there and they're on my side 100%, and they have not wavered at all in that. And so, I'm thankful for that. And the thing is, not that it matters, but like, my friends in the social circle that have, been in my corner, have been there, supported me, have been on my side, helped me through things. They don't cause conflict with my ex. They don't look for conflict or anything like that. I mean, they understand, like, okay, I can support you without causing a scene, without causing trouble, without getting into fights or any type of confrontations or anything like that. Like, you can support someone and just have that be enough. Like, no one's asking them to, and I'm certainly not, to like attack my ex-girlfriend or, start a smear campaign or anything weird like that. I mean, geez, like the stuff that I share with people, I'm like, this is between you and me. Like, I don't show this to everyone because I don't think it's appropriate. And I'm not, like, me going through that process is not about doing a counter smear campaign against her. I mean, honestly, grow the hell up. It's not middle school or high school. I mean, who's 40 years old and texting all their friends being like, oh, this person's a poo-poo head, and let's say that this person did this. I mean, to me, I just find it incredibly immature and childish, a complete lack of integrity, just gross. So that's my check-in. I wanted to like kind of share, where I'm at 3 months later, and also I wanted to share kind of like what my experience has been with my friends, mutual friends, and even some strangers that were somehow involved, and just kind of like the aftermath, I guess, of the end of the relationship with the covert narcissist. So hopefully this has been helpful. If you like these videos, please subscribe. That way you'll know when I make additional ones for you to watch. And if you have any questions or videos that you would like to see me make, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I'll definitely make them. Thanks.